What's up, world? Today is day 7 of the album cover challenge. I really wanted to say thank you to you guys for engaging yesterday. That was a ton of fun. Shout out to Tyler, Zach, Victor. I just really like talking about music. So, anytime that people are actively engaging with it, that's why I'm doing this in the first place. Today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorites again. This is El Camino by the Black Keys, and it came out in 2011. The Black Keys are an interesting band to me because I had been listening to their music before I heard this album, but I always thought of them as just that band that sounds like an old band. I liked their music because at the time when I got into them, I was really into modern rock, and my friends all tended to like classic rock. So the Black Keys were kind of like a band that made that bridge. They're really a band that anyone can enjoy. Although I don't have any particular memories associated with this album, the reason it's one of my favorites is because it's my go-to album whenever I don't know what else to put on. And since it came out in 2011, it's definitely been my most played album, and totally unintentionally. The first Black Keys song I ever heard was definitely in their classic style. It was 10 a.m. Automatic from Rubber Factory. That was one of the first like blues rock guitar songs that I could play. And then the next time I really got into them was when I heard the song Strange Times. It was in Grand Theft Auto 4, and I would always leave one particular radio station on just so I could hear that song. That was from their album called Attack and Release, which was also produced by Danger Mouse. Danger Mouse is normally a hip-hop producer. He got really famous when he produced the Grey album, and he did a mashup of the Black album by Jay-Z with the White album by the Beatles. And that was the first time that you could really kind of see the influence of hip-hop on the Black Keys. However, I personally think that his work in rock music, modern rock and pop music, is where he really excels. He's half of Gnarls Barkley along with CeeLo. He produced Portugal the Man, their album Evil Friends. He also produced Broken Bells with the lead singer of The Shins. Now, something you might not know about the Black Keys is that they also have a side project called Blackroc. It has features from Raekwon, RZA, Mos Def. One thing I really love about the Black Keys is that they're willing to explore different genres of music while still keeping their blues rock roots. You can hear that especially on this album. They really delve into soul, a little bit of funk even, and just the influence of having Danger Mouse working with them side by side. You definitely hear the hip-hop influences on the song structures. Lonely Boy is the garage rock anthem that opens up this album. And this song, honestly, the way that I would describe it, it sounds like it should be playing during a getaway scene for like a bank heist movie that's set in the 1970s. And you'll hear me talk about this with this album. It's the perfect soundtrack for getting in trouble. The next song is called Dead and Gone, and there's these parts where Dan is singing, and it's almost like he has a choir backing him. You really get this sense of soul music through this song when they're singing the na 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 na. Dan Auerbach's voice really shines on this song in particular. It has this southern grit to it, and I hear that in a lot of my favorite rock singers' voices. Levon Helm from the band, Greg Allman, Caleb Followhill from Kings of Leon, and even in my friend Sam Birchfield's music. Gold on the Ceiling is the lead single from the album, and it is the song that always brought me back to this album. The guitar tone is so fat and fuzzy, and for years I spent a lot of time just switching up guitar pedals and trying to mimic the sound of this guitar until I finally got my own kind of similar sound going that I really love, and it's one of my go-to guitar tones. The hook is insanely catchy, and you're gonna be singing along to it after you hear it. They also bring that choir in again, and it gives this song a dose of soul. When I hear this song, it reminds me of the song Cocaine by Eric Clapton. It kind of has this like pimp walk groove to it, although this one is much faster. If this song came out 10 years earlier, I think it could have been the theme song to the movie Blow. It also would have really worked in that movie American Made that just came out not too long ago. Little Black Submarines is actually the song that got me to listen to the album in its entirety. It's track number 4, and I always used to listen to the first 3 tracks and then just repeat it. But every once in a while, I'd forget because I was driving or something, and Little Black Submarines would come on. The first 2 minutes sound like Dan Auerbach is just at home and decided to pick up an acoustic guitar and start playing. But then eventually you hear the organ come in behind it, and it's really soft. And then once the drums drop in and you have the vocal melodies going, the song really, really explodes. Dan Auerbach plays some really badass guitar licks, and I really like the way that this song ends. Like I said earlier, this album is filled with songs that are the perfect soundtrack for getting in trouble, and Moneymaker does not cut that short by any means. If you watch the show The Deuce on HBO with James Franco, this song reminds me of that show. It has that same kind of 1970s New York City vibe to it, but the music in that show in particular has more of a funk influence, whereas this song definitely has more of a blues influence. Hell of a Season is another one of my favorites from this album. It's probably the most soulful song. I actually really love the lyrics to this song. With the Black Keys, for the most part, I'm not really paying attention to what's going on lyrically, but this one stands out in particular, along with Little Black Submarines as well. That song has great lyrics. Stop Stop is definitely the most danceable track on the album. If you were a fan of the song Feel It Still by Portugal the Man, you should give this song a listen. They remind me of each other, although I personally favor this Black Keys Stop Stop song a little bit more. A cool fact about Feel It Still, though, it was actually produced by Mike D from the Beastie Boys. Portugal the Man has also worked with Danger Mouse, the producer from this album. My favorite song on the album is called Nova Baby. The hook is just irresistibly catchy. The way that Dan sings this line, he says, "You don't know what you want, you don't know what you want." I love that melody, and additionally it has this like ringing, echoey guitar that's playing throughout the chorus that the only way I can describe it is it kind of makes me feel like driving through a tunnel, and it's something that I've actually tried to mimic in some of my work as well since I've heard this song. The main guitar riff on the closing song, Mind Eraser, is badass. It fits perfectly in line with how this piano is just playing simple chords, and then when the bass line comes in the verse, it's just a really smooth transition. The song is the perfect closer for this album because it mixes the grooviness, the funk aspects, the soul aspects, and of course the blues rock roots that the Black Keys came from. And then additionally with the song structures, you can throughout all of the songs you can hear the hip hop influence. On the last part of the song, Dan is just singing "Don't Let It Be Over," and that's kind of how I feel about this album. It's awesome from start to finish. I would love to hear El Camino Part 2, or like an album of B-sides specifically from this album. The Black Keys, they continue to put out great music, but this is definitely my favorite of their albums. Dan Auerbach also produced the album Tell Me I'm Pretty by Cage the Elephant, who are currently my favorite band, and I would definitely recommend that album in particular if you're looking for something that's similar. Some of the songs on that album actually sound like they could have been B-sides from El Camino. I would definitely recommend the songs Mess Around, Too Late to Say Goodbye, Trouble. Also, if you like this album, you probably enjoy other rock style albums that Danger Mouse has produced. I hope to see what you guys think about the Black Keys. If you enjoy this album as well, let me know below. And then additionally, if you have any recommendations for like modern rock albums that you think I'd enjoy, or anybody else, go ahead and let us know. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a big old smile on your face, and I will see you again tomorrow. That was weird. That's a weird ending.